Greetings, scholars. It is I, David, your mind mechanic. It is the morning rush, coming to you from Mobile Studio TH, from the rolling green hills of west central Missouri, where the air is clear, sunny skies. Spring, I think, has finally reached us here. It's been a long winter. Something I wanted to talk about. I know a lot of people think about this sort of thing, at the very beginning of the year. So January 1st, the cliche New Year's resolutions, which I just want to say, don't set yourself up for failure on that. New Year's resolutions, most of them fall flat, fall short. So something that I like to do, or what I've been thinking about really lately, I somewhere in my archives I did some content on how to be motivated and how to kind of get things done in life, like how to accomplish your goals and such. One aspect I wanted to focus on a little bit is so it's kind of two things in one. First is list making. Now I hate lists, so please know that I'm suggesting something to do that I actually do, but I really don't like it. So the simple version, what I do for the most part, especially if it's business related, but this would apply to anything. So, there's two kinds of lists for me. There's I don't know what I'd call it. There's kind of the short term, like the actual, I'm going to do it today list. Now, me personally, I can't put a whole bunch of things on the list or I get overwhelmed. So I only put a handful of things. And I know that sounds pretty lame, but I'm just that person. I have a lot of difficulty with looking at those long daily lists. Now, in work, like in my office and business, I will say sometimes that list gets pretty long and it has to be there because unfortunately there's things that have got to get done. At home, I would argue that that's not such a big deal. There's only a handful of things that I really need to do day to day at home. So again, short-term lists, so that'd be writing on a sticky note or something, or we have these little digital LCD, it's like a virtual chalkboard thing. We have one of those in our kitchen. So there's short-term lists, and then there's more long-term lists. And I put this stuff in a journal, and I write a whole bunch. It could be anything from thoughts from my book to a new business idea to elaborating on a current business venture that I'm actually actively working on. But I put a lot of the big, huge, long-term stuff in there. Now, that being said, I'm going to review one thing real quick that I've said in multiple videos, which is the research still indicates, at least it would appear to indicate, that you're twice as likely to achieve your goals if you write them down compared to people that don't. And you're almost 3 times as likely to achieve those goals if you write them down and review them regularly compared to people that don't do anything. So I think that's a thing, or it might be. And what I do know is that it's not bad to write this stuff down, and it will help you to remember things at minimum, so you should probably do that anyway. That should be a regular practice. Now, the other thing I really want to get at, and this is if you've made it to the through the first 4 minutes of this thing, this is like the meat and potatoes of this video right here. But I wanted to lay that other groundwork again because I think it's vitally important. So the reason that I wanted to do this video mainly is because there's an aspect of getting stuff done. There's an aspect of accomplishing your goals that is definitely, also vitally important. And I think, I don't know what I'm going to call this. I think it's just, being in the moment and acting on the thought or the idea that you have. So, and this takes on a lot of different forms. It looks different in different areas, but I'll try and give some of my best examples here. We can keep it simple and talk about something that, heck, this is something that happens to me pretty much every day during the work week, which is just getting out of bed. Now, I'm not typically like a late person, so it's not that so much. Sometimes I like to get to the office a little early. That is my preference, but it's not a requirement. But so the will to act and what this is going to look like, and this is very important because, so one example would be getting out of bed. So the alarm goes off. I just need to pop up and get out of bed. That's the bottom line. I should not hesitate. If I do hesitate and I don't get out of bed right away, I probably won't get out of bed for another 10 or 15 minutes. I need to just pop up and get going. Now, for the most part, that's what I do. Sometimes I don't. There's also a thing with like, new ideas and things, or, like things that, I'd say in business this is a thing. You get an idea to do something, and if it's within your capability to do it, capability and abilities, so like if you have the resources, you should probably just do it. Acting on what's going on in your head is important, and the reason that it's important is, and there's a lot of different numbers on this, I want to state that first. A lot of people disagree on how little time, like how short a window you have to act. But basically, if you don't do something, I'll say it this way, let me say it this way. The longer you wait to act on whatever it is that's in your head, the less likely you are to actually do the thing that you're thinking about. Now, this is actually useful in quite a few areas. If I don't know, like if you're having a disagreement with someone and you really want to say something really snarky and sarcastic and make cutting remarks, sometimes like holding your tongue and not saying anything can help to keep you from acting impulsively, and in this instance, acting impulsively would be bad, because we're if we're trying to avoid conflict. So it can be a good thing in the other direction. But it's definitely true of when we want to be productive. A lot of time, like I say, I think I put it best by just, and I'll say it again, that the longer you wait to act on a thought, on an impulse, the less likely you are to do the thing, whatever it is. So just some food for thought there. It takes a little bit of, practice and getting used to in terms of having the balance. Because you can't always act on something when you want. But I think the trick is to do something about it. So, especially just in being productive and having an idea of something, what I will tell you is that you're more likely to do a thing later, like days or weeks later. You're going to increase the likelihood of doing that thing a week from now if you have like a little notebook and write it down, or you write it on a sticky note. And because that is acting on it and doing something, and that is better than nothing. It doesn't guarantee you're going to do the thing. You still might forget about it. I have quite a few things in my journals that, I haven't forgotten about them, but I also haven't done them. And, now there's multiple reasons for some of the stuff. It may have just not been the right time, or maybe it wasn't a great idea. But failure to act is kind of a big thing. I don't know if a lot of people really realize that. I don't know. It's just in working with people. When I work with people, there's a lot of things just in terms of general life stuff. I ask this question pretty frequently. We'll talk about, the people come in, and a lot of times they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and I'll ask the simple question, well, why haven't you done it? And you know what their answer is? I don't know. And I'm not making fun of that. I'm just stating that I think it's a common occurrence. And this goes for people that are in trouble in their relationships, their marriages, their romantic entanglements. This is, them trying to sort out something with their children. This is a work thing. I mean, it could be anything. And like I say, I think not all, but a lot of this stuff is just simply, well, have you tried it? No. Okay. I mean, I have actually told people, you know what, come back and talk to me after you've tried a couple things. Because some folks really don't have that much to talk about because they haven't really done anything. It's a different conversation if someone can come to me and say, I have tried this and this and this and this and I failed miserably. That, there's a conversation there. Now, some psychologists would argue, and this is a valid point to a degree, some would argue, well, they've got all this internal resistance and that's getting in their, they're getting in the way of themselves, and that happens to people. I don't disagree with that. Sometimes those things are mutually exclusive events, which is to say one thing doesn't necessarily directly affect the other. They're not necessarily directly related. The brain is a funny thing. Our thoughts are a funny thing. And, look, as someone who's been in a bad spot in life and has felt paralyzed and helpless, I will say, hindsight being what it is, there's plenty of times that I could have just done something and I did nothing. And I point this out to patients pretty frequently. Again, I think it's the idea of just, we have to act. We have to try something, anything. I'm never mad at people when, my patients when they haven't tried anything. But like I say, sometimes there's not a lot to work with. There's not a lot to talk about. If all things being equal, things aren't terrible, but you want this stuff to change and you haven't tried anything, well, this is especially true, I would say, with couples, when I work with couples. Because a lot of times people are in crisis in their marriages when they come to me. And they should have come to me a long time ago, but they didn't. And, like I say, if they haven't tried anything, well, you better go try something. So I think my big point here is, if you're going to, whether it's making change in your life, whether it's trying to start a business, improve a business, improve a relationship, doesn't matter. Don't delay. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. You'll be much better for at least trying. A lot of people are afraid of failing. That's I don't know. I don't look at trying something and not working out. I don't really look at that as a failure. Maybe you found a way that it didn't work. I think failing is basically trying and doing nothing. That's really failure for me. I don't know about trying and at least trying. I don't know. I don't know if that's a complete failure for me, but that's just me. So those are my thoughts for today. I hope it was halfway useful for you. As always, if you ever have any questions about anything I talked about, hit me up on social, shoot me an email, on whatever format this is on, whether it's a podcast format or YouTube or what have you. All my contact information is there. Come find me. Ask me anything, as always. And again, I hope this was useful. And it's Friday for me. I'm looking forward to running around outside this weekend. I hope the weather's good for y'all, as I think it's supposed to be good here. And have a good rest of your day.